Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of the second preview show. We're going to crack on with the Sunday and Monday games. Southampton versus Manchester United. Well, Southampton will be at home, of course, but I'm not sure if that's enough to give them an advantage over Man United. They lost 3-1 last weekend against Everton. They did go 1-0 up, of course, but then they capitulated and eventually conceded 3 goals in that second half. There are a few players pushing for starts. Armstrong, Teller, and Redmond. I believe the biggest comeback will be Ward-Prowse, who I think is now fit and will be pushing for a start. So they'll have Ward-Prowse and probably Rame in central midfield. Romu, maybe. Gineppo on the left side, along with new signing Perot, who didn't have a great game against Everton. And then we'll probably see Adams, who got a nice assist, or the other boy will be up top, Armstrong. They've lost their last 3 Premier League games, Southampton, and they've conceded 2 goals in their last 3 games. Man United, the big question that everyone is on everyone's lips is whether Varane and Sancho will start. It would be very, very harsh to drop Lindelof after the game that he had against Leeds. However, the whole point about bringing in Varane was the fact that he can start with Maguire and we can have a new solid looking back 4. So I think if he does want that to happen, he's going to have to start him. He's going to have to push for him to start, even though it would be very harsh on Lindelof.
Do you think Ole might be looking at 3 at the? Do you think Ole might be looking at 3 at the back, Arran, as well?
I was actually thinking about that. Now that is a very strong option to have Maguire, Lindelof, and Varane as a 3. But not against Southampton. I'm sorry. You look maybe against Chelsea way, maybe against Manchester City way. That is something that you can think about. But if he does that against Southampton, I'd be very, very surprised. And I'd be disappointed if I'm being honest. And the other boy who will start, I hope will start, is Sancho. Dan James didn't have a very good game against Leeds, but we won 5-1. He has scored against Southampton before, of course. But yeah, I would like to see Sancho play. We had a behind the closed doors game against, was it Burnley?
Burnley, yeah.
Burnley, and we won 3-1, I believe. But yeah, I think it'll be pretty much the same. McFred was the double pivot, even though he said he wasn't going to do that. Pogba on the left, hopefully Sancho on the right, and then Bruno and Greenwood, up top. Obviously, Rashford's still injured with his shoulder. Tellez is out. Cavani did start training yesterday. I'm not sure if he'll be rushing him to get fit. Doesn't seem like the type of game.
A bit too early for Cavani. I don't think you need to rush him either.
Yeah, Martial did come on, but again, I think he'll be on the bench.
He looks like Dion Dublin now, doesn't he, Martial? Honestly, I thought it was Dion Dublin warming up on the sideline.
Just taking a break from Holmes under the hammer, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what? I would potentially swap those 2. I think Dion Dublin will be great coming off the bench, maybe even more so than Martial. Man United are undefeated in our last 26 away games. Okay. And actually, though, saying that, 3 of the last 6 games that have been played at St. Mary's have been draws. And last season, United won 3-2 at St. Mary's. So they've been relatively tight. However, I can't foresee this one being a tight game. I'm going to go with a comfortable Manchester United win. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
United only need 4 more goals, and they've scored 100 Premier League goals past Southampton, and I think that's
really?
a definite possibility. Yeah,
let's go for it, boys.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has just been waxing lyrical about Greenwood as well. Like I think he's nailed on as striker in that Man United side, at least until Champions League starts again, and you might see a bit of rotation between Greenwood and Cavani. But he took that second goal so well against Leeds Saturday, and a big season for him, and he's another player that won't be tired. His batteries will be fully recharged after a summer off, and I think you're going to see him and Fernandes just tear Southampton to bits. Really, I mean, St. Lucy was a nightmare for 1 goal against Everton. The only thing is can Armstrong cause their back 3, back 4, however they line up? Can he cause them problems? That was a great goal he scored against Everton, but I'm with you, Aaron. With you, Aaron. I think United will roll out easy winners in this one.
I guess the only thing we can say, if he does start with Varane, there's going to be pressure on him, and I guess Adams and Armstrong could try and put pressure on him and make the game as uncomfortable as possible for Varane, if he does start indeed. But Yeah, that'll be yet to be seen. I don't know. I really don't know if he's going to start with Lindelof or Varane. Solskjaer is a kind manager, and to drop Lindelof wouldn't really be his style. However, it's Varane. You've just signed him 40 million.
No, he will.
There's also pressure on him to start as well. So,
but you say don't go through it at the back, but I mean, this would be a good game to test it. Southampton aren't all that, to be honest with you. Just do it at the back. Obviously, he says much more beneficial against the likes of your Chelseas and your Man Cities. But at some point, he might just try a few things out, especially if you're way ahead.
Listen, it's possible. If we drop Fred, if we do drop Fred and we play 3 at the back, that means that we would have Sancho, Bruno, and Pogba in behind Greenwood, and we'd have Arran Wan-Bissaka and Shaw going up the wings. That's still a very, very strong team.
Yeah, it's a great team.
And it's a little transition that Solskjaer now has got that we've never had, really. Never had. So, yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, but I still think he'll go with 4 at the back.
I think whoever you play, you win in this game. I think you've got too many players that are banging form at the moment. You've started the season pretty much how you finished it. I think for Southampton, the keeper's an issue. They've got McCarthy, who had a really bad game against Everton. And in backup, they've got Fraser Forster, sorry. And I don't see either of those keepers really being good enough for Southampton this season. They've got real problems. I think Southampton have come from a club that were really well run, that produced, growing up, really good youth players. And whenever they changed their manager, it was just seamless almost. But now they've got these owners that don't want to seem to invest. They look like they're looking to sell the club. And I think it's going to be a long, long, hard season for them.
There were rumours at the start of the COVID pandemic that they were in danger of going bankrupt, actually. So, I mean, there's certain more... I mean, that was quashed very quickly by the club. But, I mean, I think, there's definitely some kind of financial issues there. Yeah. I mean, Southampton fans would argue that Vestergaard wasn't first choice. It obviously made good business to get 25 million in for Danny Ings, because then he goes for nothing if they don't sell him this summer. He can negotiate with clubs on a free from January. But selling one of Vestergaard could have joined Leicester last January, and Southampton put the stop on it and then started playing him, but then to let him then go the day before the start of the season, it was just chaos at the back for them, crazy. Really, and still haven't signed a replacement. And Salisu doesn't look like he's up to speed yet. Liver Morte does look a player, and I think he might have that wing back slot nailed down ahead of Kyle Walker-Peters. He does look like he can carry himself on and off the ball a bit more than the lightweight Kyle Walker-Peters. But they're struggling. If James Ward-Prowse was to leave them, then they've got massive problems, not only at the back, but also creatively in midfield. If you're selling
Ings and you're selling Westergaard, the best player they've had is Ward-Prowse, right? So if anyone does come in for him and gives a decent offer, would they sell him at this point? You wouldn't rule it out.
I think they would.
Yeah, I think they would as well.
Because I just think
it's horrible for Southampton fans.
I think there's potentially like financial issues at Southampton that they're perhaps not being truthfully honest with the fans, and time will tell as this potentially unravels more. I think a lot of Southampton fans will be breathing a sigh of relief in about 10 days' time when the transfer window does actually close.
Well, saying that, they want players though, don't they, as well? So either way, I think it's going to be a bad. It's a bad one for them.
But on a plus point, it was good to see Adam Armstrong get his first goal on his debut.
Yes, it was.
What a well-taken goal that
was. It was, but it was a mistake, wasn't it, from Keane?
Well, but you still got to finish it, and he put it straight in the top bin. True. I mean, you can't fault the guy for that. I mean,
I'm just saying that they did they create the goal themselves, or was it more of a pounce on a mistake that I don't know if United are going to give away? But yeah, you're right. He still had to assist it, did Shea Adams, and it was still a great finish. So take nothing away from it. All right then. So are we all going a United win?
United win, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right then. Let's move on, Clive. An interesting game, this. Wolves and Spurs.
Spurs are absolutely outstanding against Man City. I mean, what a breath of fresh air Nuno Espirito Santos has been. I mean, I think if that's Jose Mourinho there, they hold on. But he just set them up brilliantly. I mean, Tanganga was absolutely outstanding. He had Sterling in his pocket all game.
And Grealish.
It was good to... Yeah, it was good to see Reguilón as well. Sergio Reguilón just bombing down the wing. I mean, we know how Nuno loves his wing backs, and I mean, Son had 6 big chances in that game, and Lucas Moura just ran his socks off. I mean, Bergwijn, what a chance that went begging for him. If that's a different striker, I think if that was Son or Harry Kane or even the young guy Scarlett for Spurs, I think it might have been a different kettle of fish. But they lost last night in the Europa Conference League. Weren't there many first-team players? I think Lo Celso played for them in that one.
Harry Winks, Lo Celso played.
Harry Winks, Scarlett played up front.
Oh, the new boy played at the back. What's he called? The defender who they signed from Romero. Yeah, he started. Yeah.
So I mean, they've treated it as a bit like a pre-season, and why wouldn't you, to be honest? But I mean, the Kane's going to leave. I think Levy's just milking.
Will he be part of the squad, Clive? Will he be part of the squad?
No. Okay. Why would he be?
Because he's a Tottenham player. Why would he not be?
Right, he's a Tottenham player who's 28 years old, who is in the last year of a massive amount of sell-on value for the club. Okay, you play Harry Kane against Wolves, and he does his ankle again, which he's got a history of doing. That move is off, and it won't happen in January. And then come next year,
is that a bad thing for Spurs?
Yes, it's a bad thing for Spurs
to keep a player who created 50 goal contributions last season, has been scoring over and over again.
No, of course, it's not a bad thing to keep him, but I'm just saying, like, from a business point of view, Levy's not going to play Harry Kane until after the transfer window if Spurs keep him.
Okay, and what about from a footballing point of view? What about
from a footballing point of view? Nuno probably wants to play him, but I'm almost certain that words have been had at the board. He's not allowed a pre-season. He only came back to training last Thursday. He's not going to be in this squad. There's more of a chance that he's in the squad against Watford.
You don't even foresee them putting him on the bench just to make a point.
No,
it might exactly, and it might give Levy more leverage, right? To say, look, we're willing to pay this player, willing to play this player in these games. If he's on the bench,
if he's not in the squad, that means that he's leaving, right? And that just gives City
calling his bluff.
Sterling played, Grealish played for Man City, so I mean there are players that have come back and got themselves up to fitness. But Harry Kane didn't come back since Thursday. You need longer than 9 days pre-season, especially with his injury record. So I just do not see him. There's more chance of him being on the bench for Watford. But back to my original point, if he gets injured before that transfer window, the next best opportunity Tottenham have got of selling him is next summer. And he won't be going for 120, 150 million then. He'll be going for 80, 90. And
if they choose to sell him. If they choose to sell him.
He ran down another year in his contract. Levy's not going to take that risk. And risk missing out on 40 million pounds. Not a chance.
Say that happens, that scenario you just mentioned. Kane comes on in the 80th minute, right? Just to prove a point. His ankles go. Do then City go after Lewandowski and ignore Kane? After we heard that he wants to leave.
Lewandowski is 33 years old, and Bayern Munich could put a price tag of 100 million euros on it.
Oh, really? That expensive? I didn't know that.
Daniel Levy, there's more chance of Daniel Levy buying the whole McDonald's chain than signing Lewandowski.
No, I mean, let me say, if Kane gets injured, do you think City will then go after Lewandowski? Could you foresee that?
No, not for 100 million.
Do they care about the fee?
Not at 33 years old. 33 years old, 100 million. I mean, whoever dreamt that one up should have been drinking far too much German beer, I think, to be honest with you. I mean, this transfer window ends with Harry Kane as a Man City player.
When does it end? Does this go all the way to the end of August?
Well, at some point, they're going to have to bring it to an end because they need to bring in players themselves. Yeah. Martinez at Inter Milan, I think, is top of their list. He's going to cost 60 million. Inter Milan need to sell. The club's up for sale as well. They've been linked with one or two other players as well. I mean, they can't go into the whole season with just playing Son up front. As good as Moura looked, I
agree with that.
They
can't counter-attack every game like they did against City. Basically, they're not going to get that opportunity.
They won't go. They won't be down and not at Spurs. But I mean, they could have a much better season, moving on from Harry Kane, signing a replacement, and potentially, doing well in Europe, maybe getting quite far in the FA Cup, something like that, which is what Spurs fans want silverware. And I think, moving on from Harry Kane, which they've got to at some point, that's their best chance of doing it, getting it done in the summer.
If when they do sign Kane and Spurs have that 140, 150 million, do you think Santo will be looking to bring in someone like Traore, who does play at Wolves right now?
He's been linked. I saw that this week. Yeah. I saw him against Leicester, and that personified his performance. That game, pace to burn, but composure in front of goal, just doesn't have it. Maybe a better manager might tame that, and he might see. He
missed two sitters, didn't he? Really, he was through on goal, wasn't he?
0-0 as well.
Yeah, he was earlier, halfway through the first half, and he blazed it wide. I think he had a good chance in the second half as well. I mean, he's quite slippery in the sense of greasing himself up with all the Vaseline. I don't think Amartey could handle Traore, but I don't know. Is he a Spurs player?
It can't only just be Traore, of course. It would have to be, like you said, a central striker to bring in as well. Is it Vlahovic that they've been linked to?
With Fiorentina as well.
Fiorentina, I think. Yeah.
There's rumours as well as Bernardo Silva's been lined up as a make weight for this move. Bernardo Silva's not really entertaining that too much. I mean,
why?
From Wolves' point
I
of view,
can imagine him not doing that.
Well, why? Because they've got so many midfielders as well. I mean, Spurs really don't need any more. I mean, from a Wolves' point of view, I thought they played quite well against Leicester.
Yeah, I agree. From what I saw,
Trincao was pretty quiet. I mean, Jimenez got another 90 minutes under his belt. He had a header towards the end. He struck straight at Schmeichel. Juve.
And when I saw that, brilliant. I was like, oh, every time he goes up for a head now.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
Tijana Juve was brilliant against Leicester, playing at left back, and he may well keep Semedo out of this one as well. I mean, Marcel was also pretty involved for Wolves against Leicester on the left. And they've got the likes of Neves as well. And we mentioned Traore. They'll give Spurs problems, and they're at home. Interesting thing is, we've got full fans back in the stadiums. 7 out of 10 home teams won, and I think we were seeing that a lot less with empty stadiums. So I think we're going to gauge a bit more as to how teams like Spurs, where they played on the counter at home against Man City, is that going to work for them away at a team that also would be quite attacking. I think I fancy a bit of a draw in this one, to be honest with you.
Stefan, what do you think?
I'm going to go away when I think Nuno knows that team very well. I think Spurs have got that feel-good factor from last week. I think it'll be a different game. They'll be expected to dictate more of the possession, but there's some really good performances from Spurs all over the park. And I can see Spurs winning this, shading it.
I'm tempted to go with the Wolves win. I think Spurs won last week. There was absolutely zero pressure on them. No one expected them to win, apart from me, who got it right, whatever. And but I don't know. I think Wolves, they won't play like City. And again, I feel like, are Spurs able to counter-attack Wolves like they did City? Probably not. So I think it will be a close one. It could go either way. It really could. This game's open. But I don't know. The way I saw Wolves play away at Leicester, I think that'll give Wolves a confidence boost. Even though they didn't get any points from the game, they played really well against a really good Leicester team. So I'm going to go with the Wolves home win. I am. All right, let's move on. Stefan, big game, Arsenal versus Chelsea.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So problems up front for Arsenal. Lacazette and Aubameyang mysteriously missed the game on Friday night, didn't they, with that illness? That apparently was COVID related. And they went with Balogun up top, and he looked really lost. So I wonder now if they go with Martinelli up top and start with Saka out wide in support. Thomas Partey still out. Arsenal been quite busy this week in the transfer market. They've been trying to get this deal over the line for a while. That Aaron Ramsdale, the keeper, in £30 million.
Now £30 million and a backup keeper.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been brought in to replace Leno after that performance.
I would suggest he is. I would suggest he is. I don't rate Leno at all.
But then if you look at that,
he's a pretty terrible keeper. He's not as good as Martinez.
Exactly. If you look back to last window when they sold Martinez for 20 million, that's really, really poor business. They let their best keeper go. They even had Matt Ryan on loan towards the end of last season from us, and we can believe our luck. Yeah, so they're keeping up that theme of overpaying for young English talent, I think. And when you combine that with Ben White, 50 million, Odegaard looks like it's going over the line, 35, Ramsdale, 30, Lokonga, 15, Tavares. Actually, currently, it makes them the biggest spenders this transfer window. So Arsenal spent the most money.
Well, wait for City.
And you think, are they any better off than 3-4 months ago, certainly a year ago? So it could be pressure could really be on for Mikel Arteta this season. He could be the first one out. In this fixture, Arsenal have won the last 3 against Chelsea. And of course, they won that FA Cup in Arteta's first year against Chelsea as well. So they've got good form against Chelsea, not currently, of course. Chelsea, Kante is fit and available for selection, which would be huge for them in the next few games. And obviously, the big news is Lukaku looks set to make his debut. Obviously, he's played in the league before, plays in a Belgian team full of Premier League players. So I think he'd be okay to start in the first 11. I think we're seeing a player that was much better than the one we saw at Old Trafford. I don't think that was a great fit. It started well under Mourinho, but it really didn't work out in the end for Lukaku for some reason.
Yeah, his shirt. I was going to say his shirt didn't fit either. The fat bastard.
Should have a word with the kit man, shouldn't he? If that's the issue, I'm sure that could be resolved.
He has toned up a bit since he's been into
slimmed
Milan.
down.
Yeah, he's slimmed down.
Finally.
I don't know. Well, I mean,
Muppet.
it's Italian clubs' mentality a little bit, I suppose, with the healthiness of how maybe they treat their players.
It's nothing to do with Italians, Clive. That should just be the mentality of a player, right?
But he will be up against Ben White, who had a torrid time against Tony. I think he maybe been cast as a bit of a scapegoat there, Ben White. But you've got to think.
I definitely think so. Yeah,
it's the price tag, isn't it? No one's talking about Mario Chambers, really.
Yeah, but if you're paying 50 million for a defender, you don't expect that defender to let the ball bounce in the box. You attack that ball and get rid of it.
But you've got to think this is going to be a long, hard afternoon for Ben White, who's not the most physical of centre-backs, is he? Interesting to see if Werner keeps his place, maybe goes out wide on the left. He's been touted as a perfect foil for Lukaku due to his pace and ability to get in behind. There's only one real winner in this game, I think.
The fans?
You've got to be looking at comfortable.
Football itself?
We talk about the fans, but we're saying that home fans coming back might act as an advantage. I wonder if Arsenal, whether that's going to act as a disadvantage, they're going to be on his back.
What I've heard, like what I've read up, Arsenal fans is like they can't sell out. They're struggling to sell out.
Which is mad, isn't it? You think traditionally, maybe
I don't know. That could be the rumor, but yeah, I believe it though. I do believe it. Why would you want to go to that game if you're an Arsenal fan? Or if you know what I'm saying.
But they will get on his back. I can see boos at the final whistle or even half time here, and the pressure is going to be mounting on the amount of money he spent as well. Doesn't look good for Arteta or Arsenal.
He is going after young players, isn't he? That seems to be a theme of who he's brought in. Ramsdale.
But then you've got to marry that with leaders on the pitch as well.
That's what I was about to say. That's what they're lacking. They're lacking leaders, and then you put the young kids in and around that, don't you?
Isn't Xhaka supposed to be the captain? Isn't the leadership supposed to come from him?
Well, he's just got a new contract, I think. I don't think they'll be announcing that before the starting.
That was a big turnaround for him, wasn't it? He was destined to leave.
Are Arsenal fans happy with that?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think so. He played well, didn't he, in the Euros? He played well in 6 games for his country. So that means...
For another team,
yeah.
Jordan Pickford, I don't know. This is a comfortable Chelsea win for me today, and I would fully expect Lukaku to get off the mark as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to go through the Chelsea squad. What would be their first 11 and the second 11? I want to tell me who you would play, okay? Let's start with up top, Lukaku or Werner?
That's a silly question, isn't it?
110%.
Yeah.
All right. Then in behind, Werner, Havertz, Mount, Pulisic, or Ziyech. Choose 2.
Say that again. Get off that list again.
Yeah, Ziyech, Pulisic, Mount, Havertz, or Werner. Who would you play in behind Lukaku as a 2?
Mount and Havertz.
Mount and Havertz. Stefan?
Maybe Mount and Pulisic.
Okay. All right then.
Although he did have a bad first half, didn't he, against Palace? Then
it's interesting as well. They had an open training session, didn't they, earlier this week?
Yeah.
And someone from the crowd, they're interviewing people in the crowd, weren't they? You heard about this as well, Stefan.
Yeah.
And they was like, Werner needs to get out of the club as he's involved in the opening training session. He was roundly booed. Well, yeah.
I guess they've got love still for Tammy Abraham who left, and they felt like Werner's took his place in a way, right? All right, central midfield. I think it picks itself. Kante, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, or Kovacic.
Wouldn't be Loftus-Cheek, would he be nowhere near that?
Kante for sure.
Kante's sitting. Jorginho.
Yeah.
Kante and Jorginho, yeah.
I think
has
so
to
as
be.
well.
Even if it's just for Jorginho's penalty-taking ability.
Chilwell or Alonso?
Chilwell.
Ooh. So Alonso had a really good game the other day, though, didn't
He
he?
did,
He
but
really
moving
did.
forward, I think Chilwell's the
I think
the
Emerson's
likely
gone
candidate
as
there.
well, right? Is that
Yeah, or
we don't
going,
confirm? Yeah.
on the way out. Yeah.
So Stefan, you go Alonso?
Right now. I would,
All right. Reece James or Hudson-Odoi?
Reece James.
Yeah, I think so. All right, then we've got 6 centre-backs to choose from. Rudiger or Zuma. I'll tell you what, I'll go position by position. Rudiger or Zuma. That pretty much picks itself, doesn't it?
Rudiger.
Silva or Christiansen?
Christiansen.
Really?
Silva's,
Okay.
Silva's at the stage of his
not
career.
next year, but Silva for now.
Stealing another footballer who somehow managed a big club on big wages, stealing a living as a footballer.
I thought he was brilliant last season. I thought it was really good.
God, he got sent off again. Who did he get sent off against West Brom?
He also won the
And he
Champions
got
League.
sent off. When? You know, he got sent off because his pace has gone. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, well, here's one.
That Chelsea team.
I'm assuming we're all going with Mendy in net instead of
sure.
Not
Yeah.
Kepa.
All right, okay. Azpilicueta or Chalobah?
For the future, you go Chalobah. Maybe
I'm not asking
right now
about
you
that.
go Azpilicueta.
But they both
Such
played though, didn't they, against
politician
Crystal Palace? Wasn't it Azpilicueta, Chalobah, and Rudiger in a back three?
No, it was
against Palace?
Rudiger.
I'm
It was
pretty sure
Rudiger, Christiansen, and Chalobah. Azpilicueta, I think he was on the bench.
Okay.
So yeah.
But you talk about Arsenal not having them leaders along with youth, right? And that's exactly what Chelsea have got.
My point
Look
being,
at that defense.
whatever the second team is of Chelsea is far better right now, than Arsenal's first team is.
Oh,
miles
totally.
better, right? That's how
I mean,
bad
I
Arsenal
prefer-
are.
If we're saying that Werner's in the second team, I'd rather have Lacazette or Aubameyang than Werner.
Okay, fair enough. Would you
To
rather?
be
Well,
honest.
all right. Would you rather have Lacazette, Aubameyang, or Tammy Abraham?
Well, Abraham's gone now, though, hasn't he? So
Well, I'm just
But-
asking, just to annoy Chelsea fans who love him.
I think I still got Aubameyang.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right then. Moving on to the last game of the weekend. Well, Monday night, West Ham against Leicester. Clive.
This is going to be an absolute belter, really. I think probably both sides had good wins, so I think we'll see the same team. Pretty. I think the only debate for Leicester is Harvey Barnes signed a contract this week, so he's at the club now till 2025. Does he go with Harvey Barnes in midfield, or does he go with Nacho up front? I mean, Vardy looked as sharp as ever against Wolves. What a well taken goal he had. It's good to see Pierre back and supplying assists like he was about 3 seasons ago. He really did well under Claude Puel. I got a couple of goals and 8 assists, and then Rodgers came in and then he got injured not long after that. So now we're sort of seeing sort of how Leicester can rely a bit more on wing backs and get that ball into Vardy a bit. So that's going to be interesting. I think Soufal is going to have his work cut out against Pierre. I think he'll go with Barnes in midfield, and I think Vardy will be up top on his own. I mean, we do have strength. He does that with Daka and Iheanacho on the bench. I mean, Tielemans and Maddison start for me as well at the back. I think Vestergaard will probably make his full debut. Amati looked dodgy against Wolves. He gave the ball away a lot, made a few mistakes. We looked much better when we went to 3 at the back. And I think he'll probably do 3 at the back against West Ham. I think he has to with their firepower, because Ben Rama was outstanding. The way Ben Rama and Antonio linked up against Newcastle was beautiful, to be perfectly honest with you. And after that, they've still got Fornells, they've still got Bowen, they've got Soufal, who was getting in the box in the second half and crossing the ball. They're a dangerous side, West Ham. The only potential weak links they've got is maybe Dawson and Diop as centre-backs. That Zuma deal seems to be off for them now. The rumours of Zuma going to Spurs, actually.
Spurs, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a really great game. I mean, I'm not going to go away win, but it really could go either way, this one.
Yeah. I think West Ham looked really good going forward, didn't they? With Antonio, Bowen, and Benrahma in behind. Similarly, Leicester looked good going forward as well. But I think Leicester have a stronger defence, a stronger core there. But I'm going to sit on the fence. West Ham did win both of the games, interestingly, against Leicester last year. But I could see this being a draw, a Monday night draw.
Yeah, I'm with you, Stefan. I think we've pretty much nailed all the points there. West Ham are good going forward, not so good defensively. Leicester are more solid, but can they score more goals? But potentially they can, of course. I think Moyes will be looking at conceding 2 away at Newcastle and trying to show that up. They'll be working on that all through training this week. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 1-1. I'm going to go with a draw as well. Happy with that, Clive?
I mean, I'll take an away draw at West Ham. I mean,
Yeah.
Until like a couple of seasons ago, we hadn't won there in about 40 years. So
yeah, I think I feel like it's a game that both teams will be happy with the draw. What do you think? Maybe West Ham fans won't be because they're never happy, but Leicester
we've
are
both
a good
got
team.
3 points already, right? Which so if you get 4 points from 6, it doesn't seem half as bad.
Right. All right then, folks. That's end of part 2 this week of the preview show, and we will return next week with the roundup. Thank you for joining me, Clive and Stefan.
Cheers, guys.
And we'll see you next time on Halftime Oranges.